بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات بلند ختم فرمایید. اعوذ بالله من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم و به نستعین. با عرض سلام و عرض ادب خدمت شما خواهران و برادران بسیار عزیز و گرامی، باز هم به جامعه اسلامی افغانهای کانادا خیر مقدم گفته از خداوند منان برایتان طول عمر و موفقیت آرزو می کنیم. در این قسمت از برنامه امشب از خواهر عزیزم از بخش جوانان جامعه اسلامی، خواهر فرشته هزاره، خواهش می کنیم تشریف آورده و برادر عزیزم سخنران انگلیسی امشب برادر سید حسن الشیرا را خدمتتان به معرفی بگیرند. باز هم بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات بلند ختم فرمایید. الهام خب چون گفته بودم که خب باشه. خواهر الهام رضایی عوض خواهر عزیزم فرشته هزاره اینجا هستند که برادر الشیرا را خدمتتان معرفی بدارند. باز هم بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات بلند ختم فرمایید.
Assalamu alaikum, respected elders, scholars, brothers, and sisters. On behalf of ACE, I'd like to welcome you to the 6th night of our Ramadan 2025 programs. Before we get started on tonight's lecture, we have a couple of announcements. Firstly, the tafsir test will be on Monday, March 24th at 7 p.m. in the ACE room. Be sure to join as there are great prizes to be won. If you haven't been able to make it to our in-person classes, there is a link to the recordings posted on our Instagram. Secondly, our annual Wake-a-thon will take place on Friday, March 21st at 11:45 p.m. We will be joined by our respected guest speaker, Sayyid Muhammad Hassan Al Sheraa, along with Sayyid Jafar Qazwini. Registration is free, and everyone who registers will automatically be entered into a raffle. You can sign up at tinyurl.com/Wakeathon 2025. Lastly, our annual Arts and Game Night will take place on Friday, March 28th. For more details on our upcoming programs, please check out our Instagram page @AceOnline. It is now my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker, Sayyid Muhammad Hassan Al Sheraa. Sayyid is a scholar, international lecturer, and a dedicated Hausa student. Please welcome him to the mimbar with a loud salawat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بسيدنا ومولانا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب، وجعلنا الله وإياكم من الطالبين بثأره بين يدي الإمام المنصور المؤيد المهدي من آل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There are no more beautiful quotes and statements. Some of the most amazing quotes you will ever find are narrated by Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Everyone can testify that there was a quote by Imam Ali that inspired them, that motivated them when they felt very low. Non-Muslims adore quotes such as those that they find in Nahjul Balagha. And online you could be skipping through pages of social media and websites and links and platforms, and you notice a quote that strikes you, and it's powerful, and it really makes you reflect, and you become inspired more when you notice that at the end it says Imam Ali. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, his profound impact in the world of motivation and social mental influence cannot be overstated. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib hits the nail on the head when it comes to these statements that we see. Many of them can be very long, and oftentimes the most powerful are the shortest. When you find quotes in Nahjul Balagha and even outside of the Nahj, such as, for example, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says, and many of these are universal reminders that don't really need you to be Muslim in order to appreciate them. Says, for example, احبب حبيبك هونا ما عسى أن يكون بغيضك يوما ما وابغض بغيضك هونا ما عسى أن يكون حبيبك يوما ما. You hear these statements, and what makes them more profound is the fact that he brings it to you almost in a melodic manner, where he hits the nail on the head time and time again, alayhi salam, but at the same time it's pleasant to hear and listen to, or you just want to hear him orate more of these. The quote and mention is found in the miscellaneous categories of Nahjul Balagha. As you know, the Nahj, the way of eloquence. Oftentimes the book, this literature by Sharif al-Radi, rahmatullahi alayh, is translated as the peak of eloquence. But the thing is, Nahj means path, way of. Manhaj, Nahj, the manner, the regimen of. And so Nahjul Balagha, Balagha, the way of being articulate, eloquent, to more specifically in English, pontificate. To be able to express thoughts in a manner so profound in your literature that there was no better word to use than the one you used. This is the way, the path of pontification, if we're going to be particular. He says, in the quote we just referenced, hate your enemy, but to a healthy extent. Don't overhate anyone, because one day they may become your lover. And love your lover, but to a healthy extent, because one day they may become your enemy. And he brings you gems of wisdom, as seen in just this one glimpse that captures how epic Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen can be. Without giving you a lecture, without giving you sermon and volumes and series of topics and discussions, academic breakdowns, sometimes the most impactful reminder is the brief one as such. And Nahjul Balagha is categorized usually in three different forms. Sermons, he gives speeches, so he has long breakdowns. Shaqshaqiyya, Muttaqeen. These are long but very deep theological sermons. And then there's a section, letters. He has letters that he sends, the famous one to Malik al-Ashtar, to Egypt, reminding him that people are two brothers in faith equal in him. Letters. Other is divided into hikam. Hikam meaning just pearls of wisdom, just that. Think and reflect, ponder. And then there's a miscellaneous tab. So you can divide it 3 to 4 categories. That's all of Nahj al-Balagha. But that's not all of Ali ibn Abi Talib. It's one man's attempt to capture the multiple beautiful, eloquent statements by Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. By the way, there have been many attempts to do revised versions of the Nahj. There's a book called Al-Mustadrak ala Nahj al-Balagha. Al-Mustadrak ala Nahj by Ayatollah Sheikh Muhammad Baqir al-Mahmoudi. He passed away many years back. He says there are more that Sharif al-Radi didn't include. I'm going to now include. And the additions became triple the amount of the Nahj itself. There was another book by a scholar named Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq al-Shirazi. He wrote that Mustadrak ala Nahj al-Balagha, basically the words that are eloquent of Imam Ali, he compiles them in one work. In summary, there have been centuries of work just to bring forth and present the pearls of wisdom of the quotes of Imam Ali alayhi salam. However, lately and recently have been a rise of misquoting of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is common because it's quick for one to cast judgment and say that I've heard the following quote and I've understood it to be by Imam Ali. And the most likely culprit are those that just go online and surf the internet. Anyone, by the way, can just slap a beautiful image with a quote, God knows where it came from, and then write Ali at the end of it. So this is an issue. How do we address this as Muslims? How do we know what is said? There are a few things to do. It's not practical that you look back and say, let me find the source of this. If you can do that, a quick Google search doesn't hurt. If it's narrated by any of the literature, then you are allowed and you are not haram in the fact that you share it. Even if it's a hadith that doesn't even meet the strongest criteria, so long as you can justify and say there is a narration. But it would be, according to our ulama, haram to share a quote by any of the imams, let alone Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, and you know for sure it's not him. Even if it's not even attributed to him. Because there are attributions, by the way. An attribution may not even have a narration to it. But because it was passed down for many years and centuries, there could be a possible link back to Imam Ali, just no one's penned it down with the sanad. That does exist. This is more common in what is called the Diwan of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Diwan meaning the compilation of all the shi'r and poetry of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. In the Diwan of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, there are statements and poetic expressions that are attributed to the Imam. Ulama today tell you there's actually one way to determine whether or not a quote that is inspiring is by him. I'll break your heart in a minute. One of the most famous quotes that's attributed to Imam Ali, that's not his, because there's no reference to him, is this famous one. Speak only if your words are more beautiful than the silence. This is probably one of the most favorite quotes by some of the sisters. Because it's a beautiful quote. You share it, you put a flower. Speak only when your words are more beautiful than the silence. And being on social media myself, you come across some of these, the content. Wow, is that a quote by Imam al-Mu'mineen? How would he say it in the Arabic? Speak only if your words are more beautiful. Wait a minute. There appears no such link to Imam Ali to this one. Now here's the thing. There is a view that says, who cares? Who cares? If people think it's Imam Ali, let it be. The reality is, I don't need to add any garnish to what already is perfect. If Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib would have said something nice, then he would have said it. He didn't miss out on saying something beautiful and that we had to invent. Ali, it would have been nice if you had said this. That's not Imam Ali's fault. That's my fault for not further exploring the treasure chest that's Imam Ali and looking at his quotes and is looking at his beautiful statements and his remarks. So we need to be careful, especially, by the way, in the Shahr of Ramadan, because sometimes spreading false information, not sometimes, If it's done with intention or even due to negligence, it can break my fast. Because from the mufattirat, the acts that invalidate the fast, there is a thing called al-kadhibu ala Allah wa rasulah wa ahlu baytah. Lying or ascribing false claims to the God, to the Prophet, to the Quran, to the Prophet and his family. So if I'm fasting and I repeat a quote that's not true and I haven't even done my due diligence, if it is fake at the end of the day, then I will be held accountable. I have to repeat that day. And there's a kafara. Kafara meaning there's a penalty I need to atone for. I spread misinformation. So be careful if you're on social media and you're sharing this and that and this and that. And especially if it's like a story. One day the Prophet did this and he never did that. And you didn't even do your due diligence and you spread and shared it. Now you're spreading misinformation. Kadhibu ala Allah. You lied upon God or his Prophet and by extension his Ahl al-Bayt. That's why we were trained in the Islamic seminary and the Hawzat to, if you're fasting and you're giving a speech and you're going to reference a hadith, don't say قال أمير المؤمنين. Don't say قال جعفر ibn Muhammad. Say قال الشيخ المفيد or Shaykh al-Kulaini in his book Al-Kafi, for example, that he reported. So what are you doing? You're giving the ownership to the author, not yourself. I'm just reporting what he said. So I'm not saying Imam Ali said it, but it's referenced in this book, in this page, that he has this hadith, that Imam Sadiq said this. So who's saying that Imam Sadiq said? Not me. I'm referring to the source, the masdar. This is important to keep in mind, because sometimes we may have broken our fasts and we didn't even realize it. Watch out what you share. Watch out what you post, what you reshare, even if it's just for a temporary time period. If you're fasting, do your own due diligence, even outside of Shahr Ramadan. Who cares? I don't want to spread misinformation. Learn the resources. So for example, in the Diwan of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, Diwan meaning the collection, the magnum opus of the poetry of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Some of the poems have a sanad, they have a chain leading back. Some of them don't. The scholars say there's a way to determine. If there's no chain, that doesn't mean he didn't say it yet. There's only one thing you can do. What? You compare it to other statements that are verified by Imam Ali. If it's matching in the material, the manner, the content, you can comfortably say that this is attributed. But you can't even say this is made by Imam Ali. At the end of the day, you don't know. Even if there is a chain, could you still say it's him? No, wallah, I can't. Even if there is a sanad going back, one of the people, it's like the game of telephone, how everyone is sitting right here, whisper something to the next guy. By the end, it turns out it's a completely different statement. Someone could have misheard. Human error exists. So even if there is a chain, I can't definitely say that Imam Ali said that. Until, for example, I have a consensus, mass transmission, or what is called a tawatur. In that case, you can hand in heart say, Ali ibn Abi Talib said this. And by the way, most of the very powerful quotes by Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam have a consensus and tawatur for them. Because if Imam Ali speaks, everyone stays quiet. And when Imam Ali speaks, everyone pens it down. And when Imam Ali preaches, everyone hears. Imam Ali doesn't give a powerful statement just to one person. He gives it, and many people are the recipients and benefit from it. So for example, in the Diwan, you might find this quote. This is one of the most interesting quotes. Imam Ali, there's a story to it too. Two women came to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. One of them a foreigner. The other one, an Arab. Now, in the days of Jahiliyyah, supremacy was with the Arab. A foreigner is second-hand citizen, al-Ajam. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, from the treasury, distributed stipends to the people because he's such a just ruler, alayhi salam. He had extra. He's like, give this to the people. The lady who's an Arab came to Imam Ali complaining, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you gave me the same sum as you gave the foreigner. Imam Ali's like, and? So what? She says, how can that be? when I am Arab like you, and she is a foreigner not like me. He says, lady, let me tell you something. And the tradition says he began to explain to her equality using a poem. Using a poem. He says, you think you're better because you're Arab and she's not Arab, where she's from, where you're not from? Hold on, I'll summarize it. All of you are from one source. الناس من جهة التمثيل أكفاء أبوهم آدم والأم حواء. People as far as equality are the same. Their father is Adam and their mother is Eve. You want to be better? We share the same mom and dad. الناس من جهة التمثيل أكفاء أبوهم آدم والأم حواء نفس كنفس وأرواح مشاكلة وأعظم خلقت فيها وأعضاء. One soul is just like the other soul. نفس كنفس. And the souls are all different, but they are just like one another. And bones were developed in each one of you, and also organs. So I'm breaking it down from a spiritual to a physiological to a physical level, that there is no difference between the both of you. وأرواح مشاكلة إنما أمهات الناس أوعية وللأحساب وللأنساب آباء. That rather moms and dads, what you claim makes you more superior based on who you were lucky to be born into, mothers are vessels. They contain you, that's all. And fathers, they just give you what your lineage is. There is no difference between the both of you. ما الفضل إلا لأهل العلم إنهم. Then he tells her who you should ought to say is better. Virtue is not for those that are born Arab or foreigner. Al-Fadlu, virtue, is for the people of knowledge. That's it. They are the only ones that could say, I can be proud that I am knowledgeable. Not that I could be proud that I am Arab versus not being like from them. At the end of the day, we're all, even from the micro level of the soul, the same. ما الفضل إلا لأهل العلم إنهم على الهدى لمن استهدى أدلاء. Because they are on the right path and they guide to the right path. فإن أتيت بجود من ذوي نسب. And if you decide to bring that you are great because of your lineage, فإن نسبتنا جود وعلياء. Then it's us Ahlul Bayt who could be proud of our family and who we're born to. We are the only exception. ففز بعلم ولا تطلب به بدلا. So you can be victorious, O racist lady, by being intelligent as well. فالناس موتى. So because all people are dead. وَأَهْلُ الْعِلْمِ أَحْيَاءُ. And the people of knowledge are alive. Imam Ali gave her an entire structure of what it means to not be racist, why it's haram to be racist, because we're all the same, we all have the same family at origin at the end of the day, and who is the only one that can claim they are what? That they can be proud of who they are by default. أهل العلم. This is beautiful. فَالنَّاسُ مَوْتَى. Because everyone is dead. وَأَهْلُ الْعِلْمِ أَحْيَاءُ. And the people of knowledge are alive. Ulama say, look, this I can't trace it back in the Diwan of Imam Ali to a hadith. However, if I study the content, historians say this matches a lot of what Imam Ali has already said in the past. For example, there's a hadith that is sahih by Imam Ali that says, العالم الجاهل ميت وإن كان حي. The ignorant is dead even if they're alive. والعالم حي وإن كان ميت. And the scholar is alive even though he's dead. That's a quote that we can verify by Imam Ali. I take this and I look back, oh, Imam Ali said the same thing in a different manner. فَالنَّاسُ مَوْتَى وَأَهْلُ الْعِلْمِ أَحْيَاءُ. So everyone is dead except the people of knowledge, they're living. Imam Ali says, الجاهل ميت وإن كان حي والعالم حي وإن كان ميت. And that's so true, by the way. Just a pause. Isn't that so true? How many people who have left this world from the world of ulama that we still talk about today, as if, subhanallah, they're alive among us. They're dead, but they're still alive. Alive in their ilm, alive in their influence, alive in their impact. And then there's that knucklehead jahil. He's alive today, she's alive today, but they're a net negative to society due to their compounding ignorance that is harmful and oppressive to others. That it's as if they would have been dead right now, and no one cares to ask for them because of how much pain they bring to others due to their compounding ignorance. So they're alive, but in the eyes of Allah, they're pretty much dead as well. Using this process, many might say that, look, it is likely this hadith is Imam Ali alayhi salam's, but can I now come Shahr Ramadan and I'm fasting and say Ali ibn Abi Talib said, الناس من جهة التمثيل. He begins to recite the poetry. I can't. Why? Because I just combined, I'm looking at two, I'm like, it looks a lot like it, but that could be qiyas of a sense. Where I'm just like analyzing the both of them because they're similar. At the end of the day, someone clever can come and be like, hey, I'm going to write something. But it resembles a lot of what Imam Ali would say. So you're better off saying what? That the following hadith is attributed to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. Attribution. That it's in Arabic, mansoob li ibn Abi Talib. Mansoob means attributed. You're allowed to say that. But then to say this is Ali ibn Abi Talib's statement, Habibi, even with the hadith, it's hard to say this is exactly what he said. There is another category of narrations. We all love quotes by Imam Ali. And I admire the fact that they're being translated into English, that people are seeing them. You introduce non-Muslims. That's why many non-Muslims adore Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. They look at his quotes, they look at his vision, they look at his words of motivation, and that's a true spiritual leader, motivator, life coach. Just looking at a quote, it inspires you. What Rumi, what Hafiz, what Sa'di, what Gibran Khalid Gibran. They don't come near the oasis that is Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. And many of them take inspiration from the Imam himself. But we have to do him justice. I can't make a quote and say, Qala Ali ibn Abi Talib. Especially, this is the biggest one. I heard from my aunt. I heard from my dad. I heard from my fellow elder in the community. With all due love, with all due respect. Is there a sanad? Is there a narration? Did they reference the book? I can't just take it like that. I can't. You can't just make up stuff and spread literally false information as such. There's another category where there may not be a chain going back to the hadith. However, the statement is so profound that it's like, come on. Not even a sha'ir, a very exceptional poet, could have done this. It has to be like Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. It has to be. Not just that. If there were scholarly opinions provided to it, that means there's more reason to believe, but no one's penned down the sanad, the chain. How? This one, I'll give you a quote. There's a sharh, an analyzation of this statement by Imam Ali. There's a whole entire analyzation and breakdown that's been dissected. People have looked at this, but they don't have a chain for it. Which one? The hadith sharh, by the way, is in Bihar and Anwar. So Al-Allam al-Majlisi, with all his intelligence, broke this hadith down and he analyzed it. However, he's like, I just can't find a chain for it. But the wording is so profound. Which quote are we talking about? Many of us have heard about this, by the way. I personally know non-Muslims that memorize this quote. Non-Muslims that have memorized it and they can't even tell you where it came from. That's how effective this one is. Which quote is it? The following. دواؤك فيك وما تحسب وداؤك منك وما تشعر أتحسب نفسك جرم صغير وفيك انطوى العالم الأكبر. Your illness is from you, but you do not sense. And your cure is within you, but you cannot tell. You presume yourself a small entity, while enfolded in you is the entire universe. Many ulama came and said this has to be Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Number one, it's the same style of balagha. دواؤك فيك وما تحسب وداؤك منك وما تشعر أتحسب نفسك جرم صغير وفيك انطوى العالم الأكبر. So there's a lot of the melodies matching. Two, the profound wisdom that's found in that. Can it not be Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen? As much as I want to say, Na'am Aliyun said this quote. Where is the hadith for it? I mean, I love Imam Ali, but I love him so much that I know not even to make up stuff because I feel like it. The thing is, ulama have given their opinions. Al-Allam al-Majlisi has even done an entire sharh analyzing it. What does it mean when you say that your illness is inside you, but also your cure? However, you don't sense it, nor do you perceive it. And you, if you think you're small, don't feel depressed. He's uplifting the melancholious, because inside you, the entire universe was made. The funny thing is, this found in the Diwan of Amir al-Mu'mineen goes back a few hundred years ago. The evidence and the claims that are mentioned here are both neurologically accurate and as well as astrophysically correct. What goes on is that he is addressing the depressed. The depressed individual, Imam Ali says, hold on. I know you feel that it's overwhelming, but technically your problem comes from yourself. You've reached a point where you can't handle the stress of society, of what's happening in your life. However, your illness, while it's inside you, so is the cure. Because I'll give you an answer. Can you buy over-the-counter drugs to fix that? No, you can temporarily hide it, but the day you don't have, you can no longer address it. So that's hiding the problem. How do you fix this? Anything that's learned can be unlearned. Your solution is inside you as well. So to address these critical, chronic, mental, spiritual, overwhelming burdens, they come from you, so the solution comes from you. Allah won't give you the problem in one area, but not provide you the solution in the other area. So both problem and fix are in the same place. You can find them. I said, that's actually true. That's actually very accurate. Secondly, he says something that cannot be claimed false, astrophysically. He says, you think you're small, so he's uplifting you. You're not small. Wallah, you're important. Why? The whole universe is inside you. Al-Alam al-Akbar. Not this alam, al-Akbar. This is often translated as the universe, the cosmos. Because in the process of post the development and the Big Bang of the universe and the planets and chemicals and elements, we were all very enriched space clouds after the Big Bang or whatever. And one of these, after they cooled down, formulated planets. In the middle of one of these planets, the ingredients that were necessary for life, carbon, nitrogen, helium, and then oxygen. And while this one planet had all of these, it began to cool, it sprouted life. So we all come from space dust or explosion of the star of the Big Bang. So while we are in it, it's also inside us. Imam Ali says, don't think you're small. Not only are you in the universe, it's also in you as well. So you can meet any goal you set to. Have your goals sky high. Let the sky be the limit because you're part of it and it's part of you. Ulama today have looked at this like, Baba, how did he nail this on the head? How did he get that? Only Ali ibn Abi Talib would do that. Has Imam Ali displayed that he has knowledge that he shouldn't have by basic standards of what it means to be a 7th century Arabian peninsulan? Yes. According to that standard, this knowledge should not be accessible to him. It's only when you send a space telescope and you're looking back and you're retrospecting and you do reverse mathematics and you say, everything was condensed. That means we all came from one source. That means we're not only part of it, it's part of us as well. That can happen only if you use the technology. Has Imam Ali shown us this? Yes, he has. This is not the only case. He has shown us. Which further corroborates why this quote could be from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. I'll show you an example. This hadith is found in multiple literature. It's found also in Sunni works. The following. Imam Ali, the hadith says, goes to the Furat. And he looks at the Furat and he begins to smack at his blessed thigh as such. And he looks at the Furat and he takes a stick and he begins to hit the Furat. What's going on? The Euphrates River. He says, if I wanted to, I would have extrapolated from this water naran wa nura, fire and light. But you people cannot handle that technology yet. I would have extrapolated from water naran wa nura. This is found in Ayatollah Ray Shahri's material as well, in his Mizan al-Hikmah, and he references it to the previous literature additionally. This tradition is found both in non-Shia Sunni works as well. So people looked at it and they're like, what is Imam Ali talking about? How could you get fire and light from water? Well, in this context, you can get thermodynamics, you can make technology, electricity potentially, using the currents and the energy of water. People later on with technology did this, because many of our youth ask, if Ahlul Bayt have the knowledge that Allah can bestow, why didn't they make and invent the light bulb back then? Imam Ali says, it's not the right time for all of you. It's not. It would not be in your interest. We have to live life based on the timeline of where we're at right now. If I wanted to, I could have extrapolated light from water. I could have gotten this out. Hydrogen, oxygen, I could have done that. I could have separated it and get water from water, light and fire. So Imam Ali shows us that he's ahead of his time. So when a quote like this comes and says the universe and its process and how we're part of the system, in this context, it's not abnormal for Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. It's not. And if he says it in a poetic manner, it's not abnormal. He's Nahjul Balagha. So many ulama say, for this kind of quote, especially if ulama have given a sharh from it, it makes it more likely that Imam Ali said it. Ultimately, brothers and sisters, what we need at the very end of the day is if there is a chain of narrators. And even then, we have to be careful not to spread any misinformation just because it appealed to us in a quote one day. Just because, for example, I like the way it sounds. Yeah, but Imam Ali would not say that, because Imam Ali is not a teenage boy or teenage girl or someone that says, I feel bad, let me just type up something. No, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, his language is profound and delicate. He is the Quran al-Natiq. He is like the Quran, walking and speaking and talking. If it doesn't sound befitting as a Quran, it's not befitting for Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. But it's us that need to further improve our understanding and comprehension of the deepness and the beautiful melodic and comprehensiveness of the language of Arabic, and then you'll see the profound wisdoms just open up in front of you as such. Indeed, none but Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen can inspire both the Muslim and non-Muslim with his quotes, with his profound statements, his resounding motivational, inspirational uplifters. And it's like a night like these nights where Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, upon being struck by Ibn Muljam, he is then taken alayhi salam, exactly by the way, on a night like tonight. And he is taken by his sons and family, Hassan and Hussein alayhum as-salam, and he's being carried. As Imam is being carried, they rest him after the incident of the mihrab, and they immediately capture Ibn Muljam. When they present Ibn Muljam in front of him, they've handcuffed the guy, they've restrained him, they're looking at him, and Imam asks him one thing. وَبِئْسَ الْإِمَامِ كُنْتُ لَكَ. Was I a bad Imam for you when I favored you and I gave you more than what I gave most people, and you still compensated me in this manner? As Imam Ali is profusely bleeding, and they immediately just put a wrap over his blessed head, and he's being held on from one hand to another hand on the shoulders of Hassan and Hussein. He says to him, have I been a bad Imam? But why does he say, when I favored you and I gave you more than I even gave others? It's because Ibn Muljam, when he enters Kufa to settle for a few days before the attack, he would go to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, as Imam Ali would distribute wealth from the treasury. He would literally stand in the Kufa square and say, we have extra. Everyone come and take from me. Sadaqah. And they're all standing in line. One of the people that stood in line was Ibn Muljam. Ibn Muljam, this mal'oon, he's coming to go kill Imam Ali, and he hears, oh, Ali has some sadaqah he's giving. Let me take some of this as well, this donation fund, this grant that he is giving. As it gets to Ibn Muljam, Imam Ali sees him, the hadith says. And he sees him and he's like, oh, it's you. He's like, Assalamu alaykum ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. I'm here to benefit. Imam Ali says, one moment, no problem. He gives him a bit extra. Why? There's a habit by the Salihin where with everyone they're very just. With their killers, they want to be even more just, so that the burden of hujjah and the proof on them is more intense. That no, I even gave you more and you still killed me. To further add the burden of that, you had no reason to kill me when I even favored you. Imam Ali gives him a bit more, and Ibn Muljam runs away. Imam Ali looks at a few of his companions and he says, أريد حياته ويريد قتلي. He says, Ya Ali, what are you saying? He says, I want for him his life and he wants for me my death. They immediately put their hands on their swords and they decided to go. And Imam Ali says, wait, let him be. Why? Because he technically hasn't done anything. And that's the patience of Ahlul Bayt. That they know who their killer is, bestowed upon them by Allah. You don't think Rasulullah knows that this Muawiyah will birth a cretin like Yazid ibn Muawiyah and kill his baby Imam al-Hussein? He knows, but this is part of the test of the Ahlul Bayt, that they have to remain forbearant and resistant. They have to, even if the knowledge is there. Why? Because objectively it would be wrong to punish someone before having even committed the crime. And that's among the hardest tests. That's the most difficult tests of the Ahlul Bayt. That's why the Prophet says, no prophet has been more oppressed than I have. مَا أُوذِيَ نَبِيٌّ بِمِثْلِ مَا أُوذِيتُ. Why? Because I look at you, Ya Ali, and I know who your killer is, but I have to act like it's nothing. And Imam Ali looks at Bin Muljam and he says, I know what you want, but I have to act like it's nothing. And this is the most peak of patience. And on a night like tonight, as Imam says to him these words, أَوْ بِئْسَ الْإِمَامَ كُنْتُ لَكَ. Was I a bad Imam for you when I favored you above others, and I gave you more than others, and I showed you kindness and mercy, and this is how you decided to compensate me? Ibn Muljam looks at Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam as he is shackled and brought to Imam Ali in that disheveled state. Ibn Muljam says to him, Ya Ali, أفأنت تنقض من في النار. Oh Ali, it is it you the one who saves people from hell? As if saying, Ya Ali, I already know where I'm heading. What could you save people from hell? There is no hope for me anymore. Little does Bin Muljam know that yes, Imam Ali with his shafa'ah can save anyone from hell. As Imam Ali hears this, he says to Imam Hassan and Hussein, oh my sons, take care of this killer, feed him from the same things you feed me, and quench his thirst from the same water and milk that you give me. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen is then told by Imam al-Hassan, Father, this is the man that has killed you. Why do you want us to treat him in this manner? Imam Ali says, I can't handle seeing someone in pain, even if they are my killer. Do you not see how his heart trembles, how his eyes are shaking? I can't take this, and if I die from this strike, then a strike for a strike is all you need to do. But if I survive, then I know how to treat him. They take Ibn Muljam away and he is sobbing. Look at the love he shows even to his killer. That's our Imam. As Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen is taken back to his home, carried on one shoulder by Hassan and the other by Hussein, Imam Ali says, my sons, allow me to stand upright. They said, Father, it's painful for you. He says, I don't want Zainab to see me in this state. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen doesn't want to break the heart of Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. So he says, let me at least soldier through this. Let me stand up. I don't want her to see me in this state. Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, if you didn't want to break the heart of Zainab, if you didn't want to break the heart of your daughters, then how could you imagine how Zainab, what she saw on the land of Karbala? If Sayyida Zainab couldn't handle seeing the one strike on your head, what about the 12 on the neck of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein? Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, this musibah, you didn't want to make it for Zainab. What about the day she was called al-Masa'ib? Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. فرج عنا يا الله. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم العز الأجل الأكرم. 10 times all together. يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم بحق أمير المؤمنين شافي وعافي مرضانا. اللهم بحق ضربة علي بن أبي طالب اقضي حوائجنا. Let's recite the ayat 5 times for those who are unwell and those who are requesting dua. أما يجيب المضطر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم اكشف السوء والبلاء عنا يا الله. اللهم المرضى المنظورين شافي وعافهم يا الله. اللهم من كان له حاجة فاقضي حاجته يا الله. And for the souls of the ulama and the shuhada and those who have died on the way of Iman, and for those who are requesting their shifa and their hawa'ij, we gift them and we recite for them Rahim Allah man qara al-Fatiha. But before it, the loudest of your salawat. Allahumma salli. Brothers and sisters, very briefly, like we mentioned last night, these programs require, in order to maintain, your full support and your contribution, especially when it comes to providing the iftar as well. All this goes a very long way. Additionally, there is a campaign charity fund for our family in Afghanistan, and these are our family members, the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, who are underprivileged. This campaign fund is open. You can please feel free to reach out to any of the members here. Any amount will go a long way, especially in the holy month of Ramadan. Do consider contributing and sponsoring a night as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and give you, inshaAllah, the shafa'ah of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen in this dunya, his ziyarah as well, inshaAllah ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد. خواهران و برادران بسیار عزیز و گرامی، از صحبت‌های عالمانه همه جانبه و زیبای برادر عزیزان جناب سید حسن الشیرا استفاده نمودیم. خداوند بر توفیقات این برادر بیفزاید. سلامتی ایشان و خودتان صلوات بلند خط فرمایید. خواهران و برادران بسیار عزیز و گرامی، برنامه امشب ما به همینجا پایان میرسه تا فردا عصر ساعت 6:45 دیگر و همچنان شب قدر و شب 21 ماه مبارک رمضان همه شما عزیزان را به قادر بی زوال میسپاریم. شبتان خوش. باز هم بر محمد و اهل بیت محمد صلوات دیگر را بلندتر خواهد فرمایید.